Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so yesterday there was a testimony of a girl in my group who is underweight, and actually it's interesting because I think I've been underweight and overweight going from one extreme to the other. So at some point in my as I was developing in my 20s, I think I was like 104 pounds in basic training. I couldn't even give blood when I was in the military because I was too underweight. And then I think I gained a lot of weight, but really just yucky weight, just bad weight prior to the protocol. And you can see some of the pictures of the before and afters where you can just saw the fatty deposits all over my face and everywhere. So, and then on the protocol, I definitely did lose a lot of the excess weight, and the body was going through its hormone regulation. So that's where all the symptoms came about as far as the healing process, is you're going to see hormonal fluctuations while you're healing. I mean, that's just part of the protocol process. And so lately, actually just over Thanksgiving, I went to my friend's house and I weighed myself. And usually I hover between 110, 115. At my worst, when I thought it was my worst, which it was, prior to the protocol, it was like 120, 125. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so used to weighing 110, 115. So, but now it's just like, now my body is really, really healthy. Okay, I've healed and sealed for the most part. I eat a very diverse diet. I don't discriminate when it comes to food. I don't overeat. I don't undereat. I do my protocol every so often, do the reset, the waterfalls, maybe once a month, at least once a month, if not twice or 3 times, just depends on what's going on. And so I weighed myself and I'm 132 pounds, but I'm 132 pounds with all of the fat and the muscle distributed correctly. I'm not lumpy over here or lumpy over there. I'm actually very well proportioned. Okay. Now I have no idea what I'm originally intended as far as reversing any negative mutations, but I am seeing and I'm very pleased with the results as far as my healing process and where I am. I mean, when I do eat a lot of fat, like I made that turkey the other day and there was a lot of butter, because a lot of butter makes a very moist turkey. And I had like the stuffing with the butter that was like swimming around, and I ate a bunch of that the other day. And when I wanted to just to kind of reset my body or, help everything through, it was, you could see like the floating poops, I guess, that's a lot of fat deposits. That was excess. And that's the whole point of the J juice, is that you're going to be releasing excess fatty deposits that would otherwise block your blood flow. This is one of the main things about strokes that I want to really have people understand this. The lady on Dr. Phil, okay, the lady on Dr. Phil, she wanted to blame the Julie Juice for her strokes. And okay, fine. But here's the thing. She has predispositions, because not everybody gets strokes as far as their biochemistry. Some people are predisposed to cardiovascular issues, blood flow issues, lymphatic system issues, all of that. So she's already predisposed. But the fact that she lived to tell about it says, and I keep saying, it's because she had enough minerals. But here's the thing, it's so true. And here's another aspect of understanding how Julie Juice actually probably saved her. The woman was overweight. Okay, she's overweight, obese. You see that. I mean, you guys see that in all over the place. People are either overweight or underweight. When you're overweight, you have a lot of fat that is in your blood vessels. And this is where people die from heart attacks and strokes, because that fat has then stretched the blood vessels to capacity. So there's 2 types of strokes. There's an ischemic stroke, and then there's a hemorrhaging stroke. Well, why would you hemorrhage and why would you have an ischemic, which is basically blocking the blood flow? Well, when you have an ischemic stroke, it's because you have blood flow that's not making it. It's lackluster. It's not making it to the brain. Okay. And so when the body doesn't get enough of the cerebral, what is it? Give me 1 second. I need to learn how to just say it right off the bat. but I will read it real quick. Oh, here we go. It's up here. So, oh crap. I knew I had it here somewhere. Okay, well, here we go. No, I will find that. Okay, I guess it's up here. So, so if you die from a stroke, it's because you don't have enough electrolytes in your body to keep the blood flow going. So basically, the precursor to a stroke is the absence of electrolytes, potassium, sodium, chloride, bicarbonate, and calcium to keep the blood flow going, moving despite the fatty deposits in the blood vessels blocking the blood. Okay, so when you have electrolytes, okay, that keeps the blood flow moving. That keeps everything going. When you don't have enough of that, when let me read this other thing that I wrote. Or here we go. The stroke has two main types: ischemic stroke due to the lack of blood flow, and the hemorrhagic stroke due to the bleeding. Ischemic stroke can be further classified into cerebral infarction, which is a blockage, and transient ischemic attack, so TIA. And hemorrhagic stroke can also further classified into subarachnoid hemorrhage, SAH, and intracerebral hemorrhage. Okay, so N-3 PUFA and ischemic stroke, cerebral infarction, is defined as the necrosis of the cerebral tissue caused by ischemia. Okay, so when you don't get enough blood flow to the brain, then you have cerebral tissue necrosis, the death of the brain, because you're not getting blood flow to parts of your body. Under normal circumstances, cerebral blood flow is 50 with a plus and a minus 10 milliliters / 100 grams / per minute. Okay, when cerebral blood flow drops to 50 milliliters / 100 grams per minute, cerebral cortical evoked potential and brain waves disappear completely, but the cerebral cells are still alive. So this is what I'm saying. The jelly juice saved the lady on Dr. Phil with stroke predisposition. So when cerebral blood flow drops to 8 to 10 milliliters, 100 grams per minute, even lower, the function of ions, pumps in neuron membranes begin to fail, inducing potassium efflux and sodium influx, which means that now the body is going to turn to the minerals such as the electrolytes that are part of the body that you should be putting on reserve to then try to motivate the blood to get to the proper places. However, if you're missing those electrolytes or don't have enough, this is when people die from strokes. Do you get this? The lady on Dr. Phil was saved by the J juice because she knew she was obese, so she had fatty deposits that were blocking parts of her brain already. And the fact that she lived to tell about the fact that she had a stroke allegedly on on J juice speaks to the fact that probably the J juice basically saved her. If she had enough energy, enough whatever to get on Dr. Phil to bitch about my protocol. She's already predisposed to strokes. I drink the J juice, never had a stroke. You know why? Because I was never predisposed to any kind of issue like a stroke. But the fact that she's lived to tell about it says that she had enough electrolytes in her body from the J juice to have her live to see another day to get on Dr. Phil and bitch. Okay? So if a person has enough potassium and sodium or electrolytes, they will live through a stroke. Why people die is because they don't have enough minerals to energize the body to stop the cerebral infarction. So when somebody dies, so when someone has too much, when someone has, not too much, when someone is hemorrhaging, it's because they have too much fatty deposits in the brain. It's where aneurysms and everything. Too much fat in the blood vessels to the brain, and it bursts the blood vessel. And then this is why people die from aneurysms, or they don't. They have one, but it wasn't enough to kill them off. But it's the fatty imbalances, the fatty acid imbalances. Because remember, your body's made up of fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. When you have imbalances in any one of those four, all four of those things, guess what? You have now heart issues, symptoms, disease, cancer, chronic illness, you name it, you have it. And then what people do is they go try to like manage all of their deficiencies. Like, oh, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough that. They go take these tests from the holistic world, and then they go apply themselves with baking soda, with supplements and pills and detoxes. Oh, I'm going to do a fatty detox type of thing. Or they starve themselves. This is the biggest thing, is in the holistic allopathic world, people go into vegan, vegetarian diets and starve themselves of the necessary fats, especially animal fats. And this is why you see basically starvation in the Western world, because people are taking these diets and these protocols offered in the holistic world way too freaking far. And then people die from natural causes. What are natural causes? Deficiencies, malabsorption, starvation. How the hell do you starve in Western society? Because people take their shit too far. They take it too far. And so, yeah, so we see stuff from that, you know, from third world countries where there's starvation. You see it right now in the Western world. How does starvation happen? Malabsorption. Imbalances in your fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. What are prohormones? Those are the vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and F, G. Those actually trigger the hormones to do what it needs to do. However, there are life hormones or life trajectory hormones, and there are death trajectory hormones. People live right now in our society on the death trajectory hormones. They live on the oxytocin, the pleasure-seeking hormone. They live on the adrenaline hormone. They live on these hormones that are precursors to death, and they act as if it was supposed to happen. And then you see them doing the vegan and vegetarian stuff, starving themselves, doing tantric sex, can't wait to meet the other side. They can't wait to go and hang out with the afterlife. They actually welcome it. And then they do all these drugs like ayahuasca so they can get closer to death. That's our society. And they drink and they do drugs and they do all this stuff, crazy, indiscriminate sex. I mean, I'm telling you, the way our society is, people say it's satanic. Well, in a lot of ways, it's very true. We live in a satanic society, not like as if this is like a religious thing, but Satanism equals death. It equals that you are triggering all the death hormones. So yeah, essentially, in not so many words, but in so many words, yeah, we live in a satanic society in such a way because of how in which we trigger the death hormones. And then the thing is that the body is so advanced and so technical that it will survive despite the abuse to it until there's nothing left. And that's what you see in our society, is that people abuse their bodies to the point where there's no more minerals left to see them through another symptom. Because symptom is a body's trying to heal. That's Genesis happening over and over and over again when you see people with symptoms. What is Genesis? The body is trying to regenerate cells and trying to find a way to live despite the abuse to it. And so this is why I don't really take too seriously too much people's complaints when they know about the protocol. They know their pain's involved and they want to bitch to me how, oh my God, I'm getting this symptom, getting that symptom. I'm sorry, but you're the one that abused your body to this point. For now the body has to heal and you got to face the music. And if you can't face the music, there's nothing I can freaking do. Go back into the system. Go play with your pills, power supplements, and detoxes and procedures and immunotherapies. But don't bitch about how it is that your body's breaking down when you don't even want to face the pain. And so when I call people on it, they just get so pissed. Well, yeah, somebody's got to call you on your shit, because it ain't going to be your naturopathic who's taking your money. It ain't going to be your doctor who's taking your money. You're the one that doesn't want to deal with pain. You're the one that wants to play with all the little crap in the market. Then you wonder why your body's all messed up. Well, there you go. Your belief system is causing you to play with your death trajectory. So we're trying to give you guys another way of looking at this, so that way you understand that you don't believe so much of Dr. Phil's stuff. Now, Dr. Phil, he's there to the sensationalism. Now he's kind of changing. He's kind of changing his tune. He's focusing now on the real messed up people in our society and really trying to help them. I've been watching Dr. Phil lately, and he's definitely changed. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit almost like a Jerry Springer in some ways, but he does focus on some major, aggressive, extreme health issues. Major. Like people that have extreme OCD. Kids are so out of control where you're like, holy crap, what the hell do the parents do to this child? He's not going to take on cabbage, water, and salt again, because he knows he has been proven wrong. Because that lady on Dr. Phil who said she had a stroke and oh my God, it's all the salt. Yeah, well, we're not just doing salt. We're doing electrolytes. When you actually look at the chemistry of the J juice, it's not just salt. We're not just shoving salt down someone's throat. But that's what they focused on because it was sensationalized. Everyone was all freaking out about symptoms and salt and whatever. But it was an actual electrolyte matched with the cabbage and kale fermented. Now you get the probiotic too. So it's not just probiotics. You're seeing people taking probiotic supplements, and you're seeing infections happen when you're just taking probiotic supplements. I mean, it's showing now when people are taking too much of any one thing, okay? Too much, probiotics with not matched with the right thing, too much of the turmeric and the colloidal silver and the heavy metals and the detoxes. And so, yes, the FDA is cracking down on the MLMers who are making all these claims that have no business making these claims because they're causing more imbalances and more diseases in people, okay? And so he didn't understand. He was never well versed in probiotics as well as electrolytes as well as nutrition. Obviously, even Dr. Yao Deem, who is selling her supplements, doesn't know about fermentation and cabbage and electrolytes, and it shows. And so, yeah, now they're trying to redeem themselves. Because I'm telling you, he's not going to go after me again. Because I will totally, lay them out. And I will continue to lay them out. So here's the thing with strokes and heart attacks. When you have too much fatty acid buildup in your heart blood vessels, it stops the blood flow. And then people have to go get a triple, quadruple, double, whatever bypass because there's too much freaking fat in their blood. Okay? And that's why they go on all these different diets. Oh, I can't have enough. I can't have, this is too much fat. This is too much fat. No, you have fatty acid imbalances. Right now, we're already seeing that 1 in 5 kids have imbalance or pre-diabetic. Why? Because the parents already have imbalances in their hormones, in their fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And then they create kids who have those acid imbalances. And so they're taking on fat in their body and not releasing it, in which the J juice helps you release the excess acids. So that way the body can then metabolize it in the correct way and distribute it correctly. But you got to deal with pain. Okay, that's a healing process. And so when somebody gets a stroke, it's because they're too much fat stops the blood flow, causes an aneurysm, causes a stroke, or too much fat in the blood stretches the vessels to the point of where it ruptures. And that's when you get the stroke or the aneurysms. Some people live through them, some people die. But the fact that the lady on Dr. Phil lived through it said that she had enough potassium, because what happens is when you don't get enough blood flow, then the potassium and the electrolytes and the sodium, the chloride, and the bicarbonate then kick in to try to then keep going, keep it moving. It's like, a cattle prod. But if you don't have enough energy in your body, the electrolytes in your body, guess what? That's when people die. So, yeah, so you can see when someone has strokes and heart attacks, they're a bit overweight. And even someone that's not, let's say the people that are underweight, all right, those are too skinny. And those people too. You're like, oh, I wish I could be her. No, you don't, because there's one testimony, okay, that she dealt with that, where she was underweight, always really skinny. And I was underweight too. I mean, I was starving in Vietnam. But then eventually I had them I went to the extreme where I was just like, I blew up. So I'm going to read her testimony. Testimony. A very important factor in my healing journey has now manifested. I've always been underweight ever since I was 16 years old. Right before I started the protocol, I was 85 pounds and really ill. Holy crap, 85 pounds. I haven't seen that in years. Ever, actually. Well, I'm sure I've seen it, but I never saw it on my scale. The most I ever weighed was 115 pounds at age 15. Oh my God. I just wanted to say how excited I am at my weight gain. I was fluctuating between 105 and 110 the past year. I weighed myself today at 117.8, officially the most I've ever weighed. This is such a great accomplishment for me. Hell yes. I'm 132 pounds and I've always been between 110 and 115. So I've always been her weight. Never too much, never too little like that. I mean, too little, yeah, 104 pounds when I was like in 1993. But now I'm 132, but all that fat and the muscle have been distributed correctly. No, I don't have a super flat, you know, muscly stomach, but I don't work out. But you don't need to have a flat belly. You need to have a belly that's just enough to keep everything going, to keep you fertile, I guess, if you want to get pregnant, and to just keep, you know, fat is needed to make sure that all the organs, and it sends the messages on what to do. It's energy, it's a lot of stuff. You need fat in your body. Babies need fat to develop. You need fat to keep things going. If you don't have any fat in your body and you're just muscle, guess what? You're deteriorating. And you see those people because they look so freaking fit with the six packs and muscles, but guess what? They're aging and degrading. They're decrepit or becoming decrepit. Okay? So then when you have too little fat in your diet, what are the health issues from that? Okay? So essential fatty acid deficiency. Essential fatty acid deficiency is rare, occurring most often in infant-fed diets deficient in EFAs. Signs include scaly dermatitis, alopecia, thrombocytopenia, and in children, intellectual disability. See, this is where then you have the issues in children. Diagnosis clinical, and then what is thrombocytopenia? Hold on, I'm gonna look that up. Thrombocytopenia. Jesus. Okay. There we go. It is, oh yeah, low number of platelets in the blood. Wow. Low platelets level can have causes that aren't due to underlying disease. Examples include pregnancy, altitude, medication. Okay. Yeah, thrombocytopenia is a condition in which you have a low platelet count. Platelets, thrombocytes, are colorless blood cells that help blood clot. Oh, so then if you don't have enough fat, then you're anemic, right? And then you can also hemorrhage. All right, so platelets stop bleeding by clumping and forming plugs and blood vessel injuries. So if you don't have enough fat in your body, your blood just bleeds out when you cut yourself or something. That's insane. And that's where that baby, that preemie, you know, when kids die from SIDS, they have fatty acid imbalances. So that preemie that needed blood, you know, donations, because there's no fat in the body. It's basically a candidate for SIDS if it was left on its own, but it's not gonna be left on its own. Okay, so the EFAs, essential fatty acids, linoleic and linolenic acid, are substrates for the endogenous synthesis of other fatty acids that are needed for many physiological processes, including maintaining the integrity of skin and cell membranes and synthesizing prostaglandins and leukotrienes. For example, icosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid synthesized from EFAs are important components of the brain and retina. For EFA, essential fatty acid deficiencies to develop, dietary intake must be very low. Even small amounts of EFAs can prevent EFA deficiency. Cow's milk has only about 25% of the linoleic acid in human milk, but when ingested in normal amounts, it has enough linoleic acid to prevent EFA deficiency. So that's why milk is important for babies. Cow's milk, mother's milk, whatever, okay? Total fat intake of people in many developing countries may be very low, but the fat is often vegetable-based with large amounts of linoleic acid and enough linoleic to prevent EFA deficiency. So this is in developing countries, but when you're in a developed country like America, you want to get a diverse. You're not trying to make your kid plant-based, because that's when people start going to jail because your kid dies from malnutrition. Babies with fed formula low in linoleic acid, such as skim milk formula, can develop EFA deficiencies. See, they're using skim milk. Why the hell would you do that? EFA deficiency is used to result from long-term TPN, which I don't know what that is, if fat was not included. But now most TPN solutions include fat emulsions to prevent EFA deficiency. So yes, so the formula has all of the fats, has the amino acids, has everything the baby needs to develop. And along with the J juice, is a great diverse food for a baby. Okay. But now most TPN solutions include fat emulsions to prevent EFA deficiency in patients with fat malabsorption or increased metabolic needs because of surgery, multiple trauma, or burns. Laboratory evidence of EFA deficiency may be present without clinical signs. So fat malabsorption, okay? So dermatitis due to EFA deficiency is generalized and scaly. In infants, it can resemble congenital ichthyosis, which I've seen in fish when they're missing certain things. That's when fish die from ich. It's because their scales are coming off, okay? It's interesting, these root words. The dermatitis increases water loss from the skin. Wow. Diagnosis of fatty acid deficiency is usually clinical. However, laboratory assays are now available in large research centers. Treatment of fatty acid deficiency consists of dietary EFAs reversing the deficiency. Okay, and that's from the Merck. People are like, oh, Merck is so bad. No, Merck is trying to help people who are deficient. Okay. So yeah, when you have too much fat in your body, clogging your blood vessels, strokes and heart attacks, and then the electrolytes will come in to save people if they have enough. But if you don't have enough, guess what? You die from a heart attack, you die from a stroke. So the lady on Dr. Phil, she was saved. So when you think about it, her blaming me for all of her issues, I don't want to die, she's projecting the complete opposite. She was freaking saved. See, that's why Dr. Phil had me on there, because his fear and all of his sensationalism actually brought to surface the things that people need to focus on and understand the importance and need for electrolytes, the need for the probiotic, the acids that are in the juice, the need for the nutrition broken down to a pre-digested state, because people have malabsorption. They have leaky gut. When you think of your gut, it's 20 feet long. And when you have holes in your gut from an imbalance in your yeast, too much acid that you are keeping and holding on to because the body isn't releasing it, it's eating away at your gut. That's why people have ulcers too. When there's so much of the bile and all those acids that break down the food is not being released and being used, guess what? People have ulcers. And then they have anxiety and they worry and they have all this stuff, and it causes more of the hormones and the more of the secretions to be then produced, but it doesn't go anywhere. So it eats away at your body. Then the body tries to heal. That's why you have pain. And that's what people say, oh, well, we know the body can heal itself. Yes, it can, but it also needs help. The body, yes, can heal itself, but if you run out of your reserves, you run out of your electrolytes, you run out of your nutritional, components that you need to have in your body to heal, what the hell, how's the body going to heal by itself if you're not giving it what it needs and then allowing the body to put it on reserve? Right now, people are living like hand to mouth. Some people are living from paycheck to paycheck. What does that mean when you live from paycheck to paycheck? You have nothing on reserve. You are surviving on every single piece of food you eat every day. You don't have enough fat in your body on reserve. You don't have enough minerals on reserve. So that way, if you decide that not to eat one day for a reason, you're not going to freaking die. But these hospice patients, they don't have anything on reserve. So they survive on the food they have every day, or the nutrients, a little bit, even Ensure, whatever they have every day. But when you have so much malabsorption, so much leaky gut, and it's leaking more than you're absorbing, that's when people die, especially when you're in hospice. Okay? So, we got to stop this living from paycheck to paycheck, y'all. Because some of you are living from paycheck to paycheck and you have nothing on reserve. You're surviving on the food. And one day, let's say you lose your job and you don't eat for like a day or so. Some of you wouldn't survive. Or you eat food that is causing more imbalances because you haven't healed and sealed. So if you have fatty acid imbalances and you are accumulating fat, and then you're eating food that has so much fat, that's where people go into these diets and they try to stop eating fats. Then the body cannibalizes itself. And then you get skinny. People are like, oh, you look so great. You look so skinny. You look so great. No, you just cause another imbalance in the body. And that's what happens. People go and work out. They're going on these crazy diets where they starve themselves. So you go from one extreme to the other. The pendulum always swings the other way extremely, like extreme, in the allopathic holistic world. Because people do not understand balance, because they don't understand the right. And this is where the thing with the J juice. It is the perfect food. It harnesses the elements that has a proper biochemistry that synergistically works with the biochemistry. It does. It works with it because it has all the necessary components, and with the diet, with the actual diet, the protocol diet, it works together in conjunction. And then with any genesis, those of you that are in the Bible, or those of you that are very much, for the Bible, which is great, it's another way of explaining science. Genesis is always painful. Every single beginning is always painful. So when you do the J juice, it's like a genesis of like a reborn, born again, however you want to call it. But the genesis of cells regenerating is painful. When you are absence of pain is either when you're dead or when you've actually healed. When you have no more pain, you're either dead or you're actually healed. Now, people are going to then apply protocols that will shut off the voice of your body. But those only last so long. When you have to keep taking those remedies to keep the pain away and switch from one strain of cannabis to another strain of cannabis to another strain of this to another detox, and the pain is still there and it becomes even greater and greater and greater. And then you start seeing the aging process because it's about specific measurable results. It's not just the outcome of like no pain. But if you are degrading, like seriously degrading, and not just the temperate. Now, here's the thing with sucks with the J juice for people is that they're going to see their body fluctuate, and to them, they're degrading. But then you have to look at the science, you have to look at the chemistry, you have to understand what the body's made up of, and the fact that you are trying to induce pain. So the more pain you feel, the body's trying to regenerate, but then what are you applying to the body too? Okay, so that's why this is very difficult to get across to those that are not very scientific minded, because they're going to assume that correlation equals causation. Oh, pain is bad. And it can be bad if you're poisoning your body. Yeah, but I mean, we're not drinking Drano. We're eating FDA approved foods, or foods that don't not be FDA approved. It's just probiotic fermentation, basically sauerkraut when you think about it. Okay, so but the end result is that I'm in no more pain and I'm alive and I've reversed the aging process in me. Okay, so that's ultimately where we want to end up, is where we have no pain, we've reversed the aging process, we have reversed all the known issues that we know about, and then even some we don't know about, and we deal with that. And then we're not in we're not in all the activism, we're not trying to make anybody wrong. We're just simply living to help ourselves and help those that want to be helped. We don't ram this protocol down anybody's throat. Okay, if you don't believe in this information, then don't do it. But don't try to get people not to do it because you don't believe in it. I mean, that's no different than being a missionary and proselytizing, trying to convert somebody. We don't convert people. Either they want to understand this information or they don't. So that way I don't waste my time on trying to convince somebody. Either you get the information or you don't. Not everybody's going to get this information because they have cognitive issues, or they just don't really care. They'd rather, live out the 50 years of their life and then be gone. Okay. Which is fine, because I think that's what the intention is to kind of lessen and guide reproduction carefully and lessen the population, because I'm not saying we're overpopulated, but I would say that we are not maximizing and utilizing the resources at its best potential. Okay. And so, there's going to be a balancing force that's going to come in and take out those that are weak. There's always a tipping point. It happens every so. It happened in 1918. It happened back in the bubonic plague, the Spanish flu. Then you have things like the AIDS virus. You have the Ebola virus. You have the flu virus. We have cancer. Cancer is a balancing force. Okay, so all these diseases people are getting, and the body's trying to survive, but you're not giving it what it needs. It's a balancing force. It's letting you know that you're weak and Mother Nature needs to take you out and recycle you back into Earth so you can start over again. Okay. So the thing with the strokes and the heart attacks is because you have fatty acid imbalances. And when you have fatty acid imbalances, not enough fat or too little fat, you start seeing issues. So the fact the lady on Dr. Phil survived her stroke, said that she had enough electrolytes to keep the blood moving. So she didn't die from a heart attack or from a stroke, because the stroke, when you don't get enough oxygen and blood to the brain, you die. So the fact that she had enough electrolytes in her body to, because that's what happens when the cerebral blood flow drops from what it needs to keep it going, that's when the electrolytes get pulled out and called upon. That was the whole thing. So that's why you need electrolytes. When you go to the hospital and you get these IV bags, it stabilizes a person because the electrolytes keep everything going. Okay? So when you guys are dealing with the J juice and you have a predisposition of strokes and heart attacks, the body's going to try to heal. And you're going to see every single symptom that you're predisposed to come to surface. That's the whole point of J juice, is to freaking heal. But those of you that want to keep band-aiding your issues with all the different stuff on the market, you're just creating a more of a Pandora's box. It's going to be something that you're not be able to handle. When you let yourself get that bad, some of you will let yourself get to be that bad where there is no point of no return. Okay, when you've taken out organs and you're too afraid of the pain to feel, let's say you got your thyroid removed, okay? And now you're doing the J juice and you're feeling pains in areas of where your thyroid was, right? Then you're like, oh, I can't do this, I gotta stop. Guess what? You just stopped the healing process. So every single symptom that comes up on the J juice is the body trying to heal, and you're finally allowing it to heal. Why those symptoms happen to begin with? Because you already have a sustained weakness from either 300 or 400 years ago to in your lifetime to maybe your parents gave you that predisposition. Every single symptom you have is a predisposition based upon past, present, and future stuff. And even today, some of you are doing all these exercises causing more harm to your body. And so the body has to try to heal from that, plus then heal from the past stuff, plus then heal from whatever your parents gave to you as a predisposition. And so some of you are doing the J juice, but it's going to work against you because you're not allowing your body to heal. You're causing more damage during the healing process because you're wanting to go run, or you wanting to go and do exercise, or do hot yoga, or do all these crazy other things that are undermining the body's ability to heal. Okay, that's why you have to freaking relax on the J juice as much as you can. Yes, I know you have to go to work. Okay, go to work and then make time to heal. Okay, and I can't impress this enough because I know there are people out there that are like nouveau riche. What's old money and new money? Old money is when you actually have reserves, like people who are living in the Midwest that lived on farms and they didn't, do too much of the trendy stuff, and they have really dense bones and great genetics, and they have strong kids, and so they live a long time. That's old money, and so they're able to kind of utilize their minerals, but they still have issues, right? But they'll probably will heal faster because they don't have as many weaknesses. But with the J juice, they can help them, strengthen the few weaknesses they have. Then we have people who are nouveau riche, who have so many issues. They have their thyroid taken out. They have all these Western medicine stuff done to them. They're doing the trendy detoxes and the exercises. And then they do J juice. They're like, oh my God, I have this newfound energy, knew this, knew that. They reverse a few things. And then they go and do whatever they do, forgetting that they have to keep healing. And so they're riding on the temporary feelings of wonderfulness, but they haven't earned it. And then they utilize those minerals that needed to stay in the body to heal. And then they go faster and faster on that trajectory because they're causing more damage than they are healing. That's nouveau riche on the protocol. And I have those on my Facebook too, that are nouveau riche, capitalizing on the newfound energy, but not allowing their body to sit still long enough to actually heal everything. Okay? And so I don't want that to happen, but I know it's going to happen. Some of you are going to be on a protocol, do it half-heartedly, get your little superficial healing, then go back to your life as if nothing is wrong, and then a major issue comes up. You're like, what the hell? I was on J just for a little bit. Oh yeah, but it took me 3.5, I'm on my 4th year. Okay? Some of you haven't been doing it at the level that I've been doing it because you have too many social things. And so you think, oh yeah, I've been on the J juice for 3 years. Not really, because you have major breaks in between. And then now you're dealing with some major issue. You're like, well, hell, what the hell? I thought the J juice was an end all be all. Well, you didn't give yourself enough time to freaking heal. Your social occasions, your social standing, all of your trips and all of your things were more important than healing your body, and the body let you know, because you still have the weaknesses from the predispositions that are still lurking. The weaknesses are still there. And so then you're thinking, like, so then when you finally get a major issue, now you want to do J juice, but now it's even harder than it was a couple years ago when you should have just stayed on it and stopped with all of your all of your social stuff. Stop with the fear of feeling the pain. But now it's going to be harder for you to heal because you are now 3 years later with even more issues. And it's like, hey, so that's why it's better to do the J juice early when you're not been diagnosed with something major, because I'm telling you, it's going to be harder to heal when you allow your body to degrade to the point of where then now you're forced to, when your back's against the wall. When your back's against the wall, it's 50-50. Is that good odds? Oh yeah, I guess it's good odds, yes. Because at least now you have the information. Now, are you going to put it to use? Some of you will, some of you won't. How does Jillian think that her stuff is like better than everything else? Well, go look at everybody in those different industries, those different areas and categories of healing and all of that. Go look at who they follow. I mean, if a guy's been doing cannabis for freaking years and you look at him, he's degrading. You think that's someone you want to follow? If you think about healing is reversing the aging process. That's a healing. Healing is not just disappearing your symptoms. Healing is reversing the aging process. It is now about cell regeneration, not cell degradation. So when someone is smoking cannabis every single day and they're all into the whole healing, and they're doing the yoga and the tantric stuff, and they live in Hawaii and they're making these teas and they're so freaking skinny and their beard is all gray and they look really just anemic. They look like they're starving. Is that someone to follow? Or when someone is so discriminatory, so so legalistic, and they're all about avoiding pig and avoiding this and avoiding this food and avoiding that food because they have deficiencies. You should be able to eat everything in the freaking food supply. And if you can't eat anything, if you have to discriminate the foods in the food supply, and then you're promoting that and you're legislating morals, you're causing more of the destruction in our society too. Is that someone to follow? Because yes, when you are playing the discrimination game, that is an imbalance. So, the food is based upon the regions that you live in, your lifestyle, and your biochemistry. Okay? So some people need to eat meat. Some people live in very, very aggressive climates. They need the meat, they need the milk, they need all of the fatty acids, the amino acids, not just plant-based, but they need it all, or they will die in that region. And some people can get away because they live in a very warm climate. They can get away with being a vegan and vegetarian and do the J juice until they have to then tap into another part of their body because of some new thing they're doing. And the J juice and their vegan and vegetarian diet is not enough. They're too skinny, because when you're too skinny, man, I don't want anyone just doing the J juice and that's it, living a vegan. I don't want anybody just doing a vegan and vegetarian doing the J juice. You need to have a very diverse diet. Meat, milk, fats, like the 4 food groups, 5 food groups, whatever it is that the government has put out there. Now you can limit your intake. Like the turkey that I made the other day, I can't eat that every single day. It's great. I'll give it to my dog too, and then I'll freeze some of it and make like turkey soup or something, or turkey tacos. But to have that turkey every single day, that stuff has tryptophan, it has all the stuff that makes you sleepy. Okay. So, you will figure out what's going to be a good balance of meat and milk and carbohydrates and vegetables and fruit and sugar and all that stuff. But right now, some of you are so imbalanced that you're actually going overboard on whatever deficiencies you're dealing with. And then you're causing more imbalances because you're trying to balance yourself out, dose yourself without the proper chemistry. And it shows. Okay. So yeah, the whole thing with the strokes, yeah. Like I eat a lot. I mean, I made the turkey. I put like 3 or 4 sticks of butter in it. I mean, but when you do the waterfalls, when you guys do waterfalls with the J juice, and that is basically autophagy in motion because of the electrolytes. When you do waterfalls, you're going to feel acids come out of your ass. You're going to see fatty acids come out of your butt. I mean, when your poop is floating, that's a lot of fat that you've released. You can see what is being released in your poop and what fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, minerals, and even candida, even fungus. You'll see all that stuff come out of your butt. Or some of you might throw up based upon some of your issues. Because that, when you release the excess, that's the body's ability to finally regulate. Mucus is a way that is a barometer to let you know when there's too many of any one thing, too many fatty acids, too many amino acids, too many prohormones, too many minerals. When I eat certain foods, I feel that my nose, I feel like my nose is like dripping. Right there lets me know that, okay, the body's saying that that's getting too much of this one thing. Blow your nose to release the excess. And then overnight, when my body processes all the food that I ate the day before, I blow my nose and I poop and I pee. That's releasing the excess. But some of you have mischaracterized mucus, mischaracterized your symptoms, and you're taking Mucinex and NyQuil and you're doing all these different procedures and you're saying, screw the jelly juice because it's bringing up all this healing stuff that I don't want to deal with. And then you're further destroying your body. And then you justify it. Oh yeah, my religious thing says I got to see the afterlife. It's all about immortality of the soul. I don't need my body as a vessel because I'm going to go to Pleiades, or I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Mars, or wherever the hell it is that people say and justify death. No, the balance in our balance is body, mind, and spirit physically here on this earth, not living in a spiritual realm. But many of you like to live in the spiritual realm because you don't want to take responsibility of keeping the body, mind, and spirit. It's too much fun on this earth to play the satanic game. Why I call it satanic is because people look forward to death. Satanism, when you think about it, it's about honoring the death process. And there are Christians, there are Jehovah's Witnesses, there are born-again Christians, there are Catholics, there are the Yah people that believe in death. That actually is satanic because Satanism is about honoring the death trajectory. So that's why there's a lot of hypocrisy even in the religions out there, because they would rather justify playing the discrimination game, honoring the death process, being all spiritual, but forgetting that their body and their mind has to be attached to their spirit, or else you have imbalances. Because then you have like the Zach Bagan, the Ghost Adventures, where the only spirits that they're tapping into are the ones with the imbalances, the ones that are full of love or the ones that are full of hate. You'll see your ancestors in your dreams. Some people say that their ancestors, their grandma saved them from a malevolent spirit. No different than when you're out there on the street and your father protected you from some predator out there. That's no different out there in the physical world than it is in the spiritual world. But why do you need to go in the spiritual? Why do you have to let your body degrade? Why do you have to let your mind go? Because then all left is the spirit. And you know what? The biochemistry, the death trajectory hormones are now most present in the spiritual world. So anyone that plays in the spiritual world will only see the imbalanced biochemistry. They will see the love, 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 and the hate, hate, hate. And so there is a lot of hypocrisy even in the religious world. So some that say that, oh, I'm not satanic, but they're on that death trajectory, they're satanic. When you ignore the balance of the body, mind, and spirit, and you're allowing your body and your mind to degrade, you are tapping into the death trajectory hormones, which basically is satanic. It is honoring the death process. And so then you can't then, say, oh, I don't believe in, indiscriminate sex. I don't believe people, Then it takes out all of your arguments in the religious world as far as judging people who do certain things. When someone judges somebody for a specific sexual orientation, and then the person that's judging is actively honoring the death process. Remember, reproduction is based upon the death trajectory. It's mitigation of extinction. You too are no different. So those that judge those that have indiscriminate sex regardless, and they're aging and degrading, honoring the death process, you are just like them, honoring the death process by going out and doing acts of procreation and reproduction. So the J juice is going to make many people very hypocritical. And it's fascinating to watch. I'll tell you what, I chuckle when I look at some people's Facebooks. I chuckle. But what can I say? What can I say? You can't talk somebody out of their belief system. And I don't want to, and I won't. But I will say this, real true balance is body, mind, and spirit on this earth. And if I happen to die from any freak accident, it wasn't from natural causes. I have enough electrolytes in my body. My fat distribution is very balanced. I don't have any symptoms. The only symptoms I get is if I go through from one climate to another, and maybe I'll sleep a little bit more, maybe I'll blow my nose a bit more. Maybe when I do the J juice after eating a bunch of different food or not doing the J juice for a while, the body has to go and recalibrate, because the J juice recalibrates your body. Some of you are so imbalanced, you have basically strayed so far away from the blueprint of your body. That's why you're dealing with symptoms. So when you do the J juice, it recalibrates everything. It resets you. And then now you work from a blank slate, and now you're creating your life from a very different perspective. And then you may not have the same belief system like you do today. And maybe you will, I don't know. Maybe it'll just confirm your beliefs. It may have you actually honor the life process instead of the death process. Some of you are honoring the death process like it's like God. Sorry, but God is life. Satanism is huge, which is honoring the death process, honoring death. Death is necessary for those that violate the laws of life. That's why death exists, to show you that if you don't earn your place in life, death is imminent. And some of you are right there. You're playing the games of the death process, and then you claim to be all about life and God when it really truly is the opposite. That's why I chuckle. That's why I don't want anybody religious on my page dropping scripture on my page, because some people honor the death process dropping scripture as if they believe in life. Yeah, they believe in life for a certain amount of time until they can't justify it anymore, and then they justify it. They're like, oh yeah, death is okay, that's part of life. Yeah, it is for those that violate the laws of life. Death is part of life, yes. But you don't have to be the one to violate the laws of life. You now have the opportunity to keep living, barring anything freak that happens out there. But if you make the right choices of don't go out after midnight walking down the street in some, dangerous neighborhood. If you're not driving so continuously, if you're driving continuously, you I don't know, it's all statistics. And you think about how often you drive on the road and then who's out there and what seasons it is. Yeah, there's always statistics of chances of whatever. But yeah, I mean, most likely if you have a relatively balanced body, mind, and spirit, the death trajectory, or the death, well, yeah, death won't really come to you, really. But right now, there's obviously the cause of death in our society is natural causes, not so much of car accidents. Yeah, they happen, but really the statistically natural causes is why people die, because they have violated the laws of life. And they claim to be all about life, but they honor the death process, which essentially makes you then satanic. That's what Satanism is. Satanism is honoring the death process. And so J-juice is not satanic. We don't honor the death process. We understand it. We know why it exists. And we are actively working against it in body, mind, and spirit. So you make your choices, but J-juice will make a hypocrite out of pretty much everybody that honors the death process, the discrimination process. So that's why I chuckle at some of the religious folk who are all about, you know, legalistic, and they're actively aging, actively dying, actively honoring Satanism. Have a good day. Bye.